Spread the fingers, spiral the biceps towards each other. So you almost think about the inner elbows facing each other. Send the hips up towards the ceiling. You're either walking through your dog and you're thinking here about your chest coming towards your thighs. Now, if you want to do a little progression, a bit of a different move, take a dolphin. So you come down onto the elbows. This is a little bit lower, and you might feel it like a little bit different there on the shoulders. And the same thing, you're sending the hips up towards the ceiling, chest towards the thighs. You can always put a bend in the knees. Big stretch on the calf muscles, the hamstrings, and hopefully shoulders in there too. One more deep breath. Then come down onto all fours. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, and we're hip width, shoulder width. Take a check you're in neutral, so if you need a pelvic tilt, find that center point, find the pelvic floor, find TVA. Just take a couple of breaths and just check that you're breathing to those four corners. So you're widening the rib cage, you're sending the breath right towards the collarbones, towards the shoulders. So we're going to go into opposite leg, opposite arm extension. And I'm going to keep it really simple today. So we're just going to extend, squeeze in the glute, and then reset. And then alternate, so switch it over. Squeezing the glute, extend, and switch over. But I want you to take a really deep focus into hips, pelvis, core. So try not to let the tilting happen there in the hips and the pelvis. Keep the activation on the glutes, the core. Eye gaze to the front of the mat. Crown of head just stays in line with the spine. So option to bring in the balance, just lift off that back foot. So you're just on knees, and it sometimes helps to point the toes. And then see if you can do this move and alternate just from the knees. So just working with balance. A little bit more. Just breathing out, ready for that extension. Breathing in as you reset. Three more. Keep connecting with that TVA, that tummy button. Keep squeezing. Last one. Release. So either a low lunge, so step left foot forwards, come up, just take a low lunge stretch. Or if you liked it, and we did it last week, is the pigeon. So if you prefer more work into your hips, drop the foot to the side and work with your pigeon stretch. So option for either one. Depends if you want hip flexor kind of stretch or whether you want a deeper kind of hip stretch. If you're on the low lunge, still engage the core, keep the pelvis tucked under. Just 2 more breaths. Shoulders relaxed, down away from the ears. And then we'll step back, step the other foot forward, check your hip width. And again, same thing, just a nice simple low lunge. I'm not going to overcomplicate it with anything with the arms, just pull in the core. Keep the pelvis tucked under. Or if you preferred it, you worked with the pigeon last week, you want to have another go on the pigeon. And you don't have to have that shin, you know, at a right angle or anything. Whichever one suits. Try and drop the shoulders down away from the ears. Or actually what we did last week is totally drop down on the pigeon. So just starting to build up your own sense of practice. One more deep breath. So from there we're going to come down onto our fronts. So a little bit more flow, because I know I've been doing the letters a lot lately, so this time a little bit more flow through. Got basket of wood in the way. I'll come back a bit. So take an E position with the arms. Breathing out, just lift head and shoulders to prepare us. Keep the eye gaze down, crown of head in line with spine and lower. Now just notice if you're still pulling in pelvic floor, TVA. Breathing out to lift. Try not to push down too much with your hands. Breathing in to lower. So if you're happy with that and you want to move through, lift up to that E position or that cactus position. And then lower. Breathing out to lift. And breathing in to lower. That's your next step. Step 3, breathing out lift. Then extend to the Y position. And then T. Then I. And I want you to do the same thing we did in the balance sequence. Reach your fingertips right down towards your toes. And then release. So if you're with me on flow, breathe out, lift, extend, sweep it around, reach the fingertips down, release. A little bit of an add-in if you want it. Breathing out, lift to E, extend to Y, flow through T, hold in I, and just hover up both legs. Squeeze the glutes. Just bring in the lower back as well. And release. 2 more, whichever one that you're on. Try and breathe out for the extension and the lifts. And maybe take another breath in the last move where you're reaching fingertips down to feet. Release. Last one. Pressing up, take a cat position on all fours, lift the top of the back, chin to chest. Really tucking in all the abdomen. Thinking about lifting the top of the back. Send that breath right towards the shoulders. And then come and prepare yourself for front leg pull. So down on your elbows. Let's just check the time quickly. So elbows underneath your shoulders. Pelvis tucked under. Pelvic floor in, TVA, and lifting up the hips. So we're going to take a little, first stage is just hold. If you want a little bit of movement, just salute in one hand. So see if you can just lift the elbow up level with the shoulder, recenter. So just taking a salute and recenter. Breathing out left, breathing in recenter. Option here to take the legs straight into the full plank as well. If you want to test your core a little bit more. Try not to hold the breath. Sometimes that's the movement's quite good because it makes you breathe out and breathe in. 4 more. 4 more breaths or 4 more lifts. Lowering down, we'll have a 10-second rest. We're so hot in here. I'm tempted to open the door, but I think all the dogs will start moving around. We'll go again. Pelvic floor in, TVA, and lifting up the hips. This time then, we're going to just drop the hips to one side of the mat, recenter, over to the other side. Again, you've got the option there, straighten the legs. And then you can drop everything over. You're almost kind of teasing with the toes there. Just strengthen out the toes. And drop it round. Again, try not to hold the breath. So breathing out, hip drop. Breathing in, center. Breathing out, hip drop. Breathing in, center. Keep working with TVA. Keep pulling in. 4 more. Shoulders down away from ears. Crown of head in line with spine. 2 left. Breathing out. Recenter. Bring it down. Have a little rest. We'll do 1 more. I think this one we'll do a lift up to high plank, which I think is a really good upper body one. I know it's difficult. And we'll do 8 of them. So, pelvic floor in TVA in, lifting up the hips. Option, legs straight. Pushing up, lift up to full high plank. Then come down. That's 1. Up again. 2. Try not to arch in the lower back. Keep the pelvis tucked under. 3. Shoulders down away from ears. 4. 4 left. Switch over which hand pushes out first. 4. 3 to go. 3. Stick with it. Last 2. Keep going with the TVA. Keep pulling in. Last 1. Pushing up. Bring it down. You can bring the hips down. And then you're going to sit back towards your child's pose. Going back to something we did a couple of weeks ago. Reach forward with one hand. Thread the other hand underneath for that super shoulder stretch. Just bring the head down towards the mat. 4 deep breaths. Use the yogic breath to start down at the bottom of the spine. Breathe in. Send it all the way up the spine to that third eye point between the eyebrows. Zola's yawning at me. When you finish that breath, see if you can switch hands over. Really go for that reach to the front of the mat. Thread the other arm through. Just allow the head to drop and be heavy. 4 deep breaths. So unraveling from there, just going to do 1 move on our sides actually. So it's a side plank, and I know it's been a quite intense session tonight, but it's got a few little layers to it. So, and also you can bring in your weights. So I'll show you without weights and you can put them in. So start with elbow underneath your shoulder, shoulder down away from ears, lift up the hips. It's a leg lift. So if you put the weight in, the weight just goes up to the ceiling and you just reach. So it's like a static move for the arm. So we're going to go 4 leg lifts. 3, 4. Then just bring that leg and hold it still into little twists. So thread the weights underneath the body and lift. On your bed, Zola. Threading through. And lift. 2 more, and then we go back to the leg lifts. Breathing out. And then lift. Then to your leg lifts. Now if you want to progress, legs straight, leg lift. A lot harder work for your glute med here. 3 and 4. Then you can do your thread throughs with your legs straight. Keep the control. Keep engaging pelvic floor and TVA. Like you'll find the chest wants to kind of crumble. Think about opening the chest at that top point each time. Think about the hip lift. Last one. So it's 3 times through 4 leg lifts. And you've got the option to bring the knee down. You've got the option to drop the weights and just do it without the weights and go for a nice big stretch. Try not to hold the breath. 2 left. Breathing in as you push that arm up. Breathing out, thread through. Lower the hips down. And then we're going to switch sides. So I'm afraid my yurt is right by the car park. So when a car arrives, the dogs all kick off. Come on in bed. So same thing. Elbow underneath the shoulder. Lift up the hips. Option, put the weight in. Stretch the arm up so you can see it's chest stretch. 4 leg lifts. Nice bit of glute med work. Drop the leg. 4 thread throughs. Just notice if you're getting that full extension at the top, the opening on the chest. And breathing out, lift. Engaging TVA, engaging pelvic floor. So if you did it on the other side, you're going to have to do it on this side as well. Straighten the legs, lift up the hips. 4 leg lifts. Try not to hold the breath. 4 thread throughs. Stuff like this can get you really super strong. Last one. 4 leg lifts. Keep going with the TVA. Keep lifting with those hips. 4 thread throughs. Zola's going to make a big mess with her stick. Very useful. Last one. Placing the weights down then